Okay, so I wanted to talk to my sister again because I got really dark again, which is normal. Like I had a week. The previous week I had weed, which was
Hmm.
very unusual and a very special occasion. And I didn't even realize it. It's so funny because I had it for a full week. He hooked me up, um, and it helped a lot. So helped me be able to, at least because my mind is constantly jumbled.
Yeah.
So it just helps soothe it a little, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know how to word it properly. But anyways, and then last week, this week that just happened, didn't have nothing at all, and I was just completely sober the whole time and lost my fucking mind again. So I was like, well, sometimes when I talk to my sister, it really helps a lot. Um, doesn't make the world a better place, but it helps. um you make things sane for me because I'm just like I'm sitting here questioning my own sanity when I see the things that people say and when they're responding to the things I say, and I'm just like, what the fuck, am I really this stupid and like insane that when people respond to me I'm the stupid one? Like, I'm just like, that doesn't
Yeah.
make any sense to me. I'm just like, what the fuck? So
I know.
I go to my
Yeah.
sister and she tends to make sense of things for me, at least, and it's not because we agree on everything,
Yeah.
but she just knows how to straighten things out. Anyway, so today she came in and I had a topic that I thought about that I already wanted to talk about before, and I asked her about. And I said, "What do you want to talk about?" And she said, "Drugs." And I was like, "No fucking way." That's funny, man. That's okay.
Well, because first of all, drugs are fun. Like they're fun to talk about. But also because we are in two different. We both struggle with like social anxiety and just generalized fury at the world. And we have different drug coping mechanisms.
Mm,
Because I'm on Paxil, which is an antidepressant, and you drink beer and alcohol and smoke weed sometimes. And
very rarely.
yeah, but it's kind of like prescribed versus self
Mm.
medication, and so that's why I thought it would be interesting to talk about kind of the difference between um, our methods of dealing with depression and
Well,
anxiety.
it's not just a method. I mean, it kind of is. But you, when you started getting on Paxil, you had a shrink, right?
I had 3 sessions with this chick in
And
Montrose.
they gave you a prescription.
No, she didn't give it to me. It was
Oh,
my GP. So the first time I saw my GP, I said I need drugs for anti-anxiety, and she was like, "Okay." Well, she gave me Paxil because Paxil is non-habit forming,
mm-hmm.
and you can't overdose on it. And
What is a GP? I forget.
a general practitioner, so it's just like a regular doctor you would
Oh,
just go
okay.
to if you had like the flu or whatever, and they'd give you antibiotics or
And at the
whatever.
time too, I forgot. This was when you were working at the job that had health insurance.
And had health insurance, yeah.
Okay. She
So I
had
don't.
started on it with health insurance.
Yes, so that was the strongest thing that she would prescribe because it was her first time seeing me. She wasn't going to give me
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
like,
Not knowing you and
yeah, you just
whatever.
walk in and ask for drugs. What are they supposed to say? But I was having so much anxiety at my job that
Mm,
I was missing work. Um,
I remember that.
and I was like, so I went to the counseling sessions, and it was like I need to get on some drugs, and because like I've dealt with like anxiety my whole life, but it started to take over when I was a teenager. So I'd miss a lot of school, and I
Mm.
barely graduated because I missed so much school.
And this is a all A student that's saying that. All A's. This is
I was never a straight A student
She
until
was a
college,
straight
but
A fucking
I was
student.
like A to C, mostly B.
She was an amazing student that all her teachers bragged about. Uh, Everybody in the what, like, fucking the principal and like everybody knew how smart she was and shit.
I
And
don't
then
think any of that's
I
true.
remember I remember that, like, I spoke with these people.
Well, Mrs. Cohen knew who I was, but she was our counselor.
Well, a lot of them knew. Like anybody, if your name was mentioned, they all like perked up and shit. Like, um, so yeah, but in college, we used to, I was just reading your website like last week or the week before, or whatever, recently, and I had forgotten I'd never read everything on there, and I had read a little bit, and it blows my mind how much we can relate to each other, but we do have a different we're still different people,
Yeah.
so we kind of express it differently, and whatever. But like I read your stuff, and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. But one of my favorite things about me on your website was how you spoke a little bit about your 4.0 college GPA. And I was like, damn, and that's something that definitely is worth bragging about.
Well, okay, but also to be honest, I was taking like maybe two 2 to 3 classes per semester,
Mm.
which most people are taking like double that because
Mm.
it took me 5 years to get my AA, which is a 2 year degree. But I was working part time and going to
Mm.
school part time,
You did
and
it
it's
at
a
your own
lot.
pace, kind of a thing.
Yeah, but it's a lot easier to get straight A's when you're not taking a full course load, because you have more time to
Yeah.
study
Yeah.
each
Okay.
class and
Look
stuff
at her
like that.
giving no credit to herself. She's so humble. Okay. But
But when I first started, I was like very into getting A's.
mm,
And then after mom died, I was like, if I can just pass these classes until I graduate, I'm going to be okay. But I ended up graduating with all A's anyway, just because I don't know how to not do anything at 100%.
yeah. I mean, I remember that too. That's how I always think of it, as how mom raised us. I don't. That's just the way I remember it, because um I mean, it's kind of like the work ethic kind of a thing. Like it wasn't just our country or schooling that it was my mom, and I'm glad though. If you're gonna do something, do it the best you can, whatever. Like that makes sense. And the thing that's funny to me about that, since you like, I mean, since we're talking about it, I never felt pressure to do that. I just wanted to,
Yeah.
because like I like doing the best I can. It wasn't like I have to or I'm gonna be punished. It's like I want to because it's fucking cool when you do. Like I don't know, I feel good about doing it right and whatever. Anyways, I forget why we got into that. Why we were doing the time we wanted to talk about drugs or whatever.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And I did do some counseling at school
Oh yeah, that's right.
when I was, right after mom died.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I went in and I was like, my mom was just diagnosed with cancer. She has 6 months to live, and then my next session was she's dead.
Mm-hmm.
so, uh, so I have tried counseling a few times. The woman in Montrose didn't work out because she was a behavioral something therapist. So her whole deal was like just change your mindset, which is like
Mm-hmm.
if you're having this negative thought, use this
I know, it's just the
positive
whole
thought to
just
counter
be
it.
happy. Just be happy.
No, not really, but like all the tools that she was giving me, I had already been
Mm-hmm.
using, and they weren't working anymore. So I needed something like a little bit more intense. I was like, no, I've already tried this. Can you, what else do you have? And she was like, well, maybe you just need medication.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, are you gonna give me some? She was a therapist, not a psychiatrist, so
Mm-hmm.
she couldn't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was looking for a psychiatrist, but I couldn't even get an appointment because they're so booked up
Mm-hmm.
because so many people hate their jobs, I assume.
Probably.
And so finally I went to this is so dumb. I went to urgent care because one of my Lyft drivers had told me that urgent care would prescribe him Ambien, I think, or some Xanax or something like that. Um, like they just give you a few pills, but it like kind of gets you through
Mm.
when you're having extreme anxiety. And so I'm there, and he's like, "Well, so have you tried to get an appointment with your doctor?" And I was like, no, I haven't met her yet. I have her name. And he was like, okay, well, this other clinic, we can't contact her directly because she's not in our system or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So he sent me to a different urgent care, and they were just like, have you talked to your doctor? And I was like, no. And they're like, well, let's call and make an appointment. So she was able to see me like 2 days later. So I was just like, I went all the way to I think like Van Nuys or something to get a doctor's appointment when I could have just fucking called her. It was
Mm.
so, that's like how bad I am at taking care of myself.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, and the whole system is so fucked. It's not people. It drives me nuts when people are like, "Oh, all you got to do is just do this," and then the answer is like for. I'll give you an example because this is the one I can think of off the top of my head. A very simple one where we live in Glendale and near LA and stuff, and this was years ago too when we actually had a ton of dispensaries in Glendale.
uh-huh.
Had like over 200 apparently. Yeah,
Really?
it was long. I mean, they all shut down quickly and within 1 year.
Why?
They changed laws or some shit. I forget why,
Oh.
but something changed, right? And then like shut them all the fuck down. But we had over 200 in the Glendale area. But anyways, and I always thought it was funny because they were never near where we are, where everything is. We're in
Mm.
the middle of so much stuff, but there wasn't like a dispensary right here, though.
Well, we're close to Burbank, which is like we're in the kind of the fancier area of Glendale, so they must have been like downtown Glendale.
Maybe. So no, so what they remind me of is just like I would ask people all the time, where do you go? And the answer was always they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Nobody would just say where the fuck it was.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. And I'm like, okay, look, I'm in Glendale and I don't know where the fuck one is, like tell me where it is. They're everywhere. I'm just like, son of a bitch. Like, so nowhere, everywhere was not close to where we actually are. But that's the kind of answer that people give all the time is these really simple basic things that are not actually specific or detailed or any real actual helpful answer. And it's just like, oh, okay. Anyways, I don't remember why that it just reminded me of that because it was I guess as simple as talking to your doctor. I can't remember what made me think
Oh,
of that.
yeah, that's yeah. So I went to my GP and I was like, I'm having all this anxiety. She was like, all right, well, keep trying to find a psychiatrist. And I was like, okay. And then she was like, okay, bye. And I was like, oh, okay. So I started to leave and I got to the waiting room and I was like, wait a second, I didn't get any drugs. All I have is this prescription. I think I got it from urgent care. The guy gave me a prescription for like 6 Xanax. And he was like, but really, like, don't fill this prescription right away, like see your GP first,
Mm-hmm.
because if you have too many prescriptions in a short amount of time, they'll flag it.
Mm,
So I ended up throwing that prescription
makes
away once I
sense.
got the Paxil, which later I wished I had kept because
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Xanax is a lot
I
stronger
heard
than
that stuff was
Paxil.
really good.
And I was like, so yeah, anyway, so I was,
And then the reason that this happened was because she had a job at the time that had health insurance, right?
yeah.
I mean, without that, would you have gone through that?
Oh no. No, I probably would have. I mean, it was pretty dark. It was honestly at the point when I quit my job was either quit my job or kill myself. So,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
that was with the drugs. I had been on the drugs I started taking the drugs in April. No, I started having the panic attacks in April. I think I started taking the drugs in September, and it was no, I quit in September, but I had been taking the drugs for about a month, I think,
Mm-hmm.
and it was helping, like, kind of even me out,
Mm-hmm.
but it wasn't helping. It was actually like the problem was that the anxiety that came from the idea of quitting my job and not having any money coming in also lessened.
Mm-hmm.
And the anxiety of going to the job became more than the anxiety of what happens if I don't have my job.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just like I kept missing work even with the pills, because I went a full month. I counted it. I
I
counted every
remember.
day. I went a full month after I started taking the pills, and then I started missing work again, and I was just like, I just can't do this. I just fucking hate it so much.
And I remember this, just constantly hearing my sister say she was calling in sick for work all the time for months.
Which, I mean, you've seen me have other jobs, and that's
No,
not something
no,
that
it
I
was
would do.
definitely no. That's why I didn't like scream at you, but I was worried. I was very worried. Multiple reasons. One, bills, but I
Yeah.
was also worried for you. It's kind of like now too. like I know how dark I get in my mind, and then like you said, some people don't realize this. They don't really. They think you're being dramatic when you say I either need to quit my job or kill myself. They think you're being dramatic,
Yeah.
and you're like, no, oh no, that's not. I'm not just saying
It
that.
literally like got to that point where it was me being alive a few more days and being able to afford to live for a few more days, or just not at all.
Yeah, it's
Like,
a horrible thing.
it's not a good position to be in. And I had been in the same position back at my previous job, um, which just was really frustrating because to be back there after a year in that same headspace where I have to either quit this job or kill myself. Like, it's just like, is there anything? And I had been there at Smart and Vinyl too, so like, it was either quit this job or kill myself, and it's just like, what? Is there a job that I can do where I don't want to fucking kill myself? Or won't end up wanting to kill myself? Because they didn't start out that way. You know, you start a new job and you're excited about the prospects and maybe moving up and getting promoted or working with the company and whatever. And like, so none of my jobs started out with I have to kill myself and then a year later I'm fine. You know, it's always the other way around. You start out happy and excited and then you're just fucked up. So I don't know. So I haven't had a job since this last one because it's,
Fortunately for unemployment
oh my
payments or
god.
whatever.
I was thinking about this yesterday. Is the COVID that has killed so many people has literally saved my life because because I wasn't eligible for unemployment.
Really?
No, because I quit. And
Oh, I forgot
yeah.
about that. Yeah.
So I wasn't eligible for unemployment until COVID hit, and so many people were applying, and they lifted all these restrictions, um, and that's why I was able to get it.
I forgot about that because I lost 2 jobs in the past. I had 4 or 5 jobs, and I think this is my 5th job. And I've each one of them, except for a couple of them had for like a year or two. They were specifically temporary jobs. But 3 of my jobs out of the 5 I've had have all been over 8 years each.
Yeah.
And 2 of those jobs, the first one I was let go, so I got unemployment for around a year and a half or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other one, the previous job I had, I got fired from for no fucking reason. You remember? I don't want to get into that story because it's just funny and stupid. But maybe another time, maybe in another, whatever. But I never really care about that. But I always think it's funny. It's something that I think back. It's always funny to me because I'll never forget that I straight up laughed in my fucking boss's face when he told me not to come back. I laughed right in his face. I had no other response. Just like I was like, okay. Literally, that's exactly how, like my laugh might have been different, but like I straight up laughed in his face and I said okay, and then I left.
Wow.
But anyways, but because I forgot about that as far as unemployment goes, I forgot that if you quit your job, you're not really eligible. Like you can, I think you go for welfare instead of unemployment in that case.
Yeah, and I did sign up. Well, I signed up for like disability, cash benefits, and food stamps, and they turned me down because I'm not a citizen of LA, which I think is just somebody clicked the wrong box. And Robin said that they always deny you the first time, but I think they just
and you just never try again.
Because well, no, because then I got on the unemployment. So also Robin was like, I have this friend who helps people get on this, and she'll help you.
Yeah, and she never did, right? Yeah.
Well, she ended up the woman that Robin was talking about ended up homeless that same week and moved in with Robin for like a month and a half.
Holy fuck!
Yeah.
I'd see you never told me that story.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. So,
wow, what a trip.
Yeah. So. But then COVID hit and I was able to get on the unemployment. So I did go back to that the unemployment, or not the unemployment, but the cash benefits and stuff website a couple weeks ago, and I was about to sign up because I had run out of my unemployment. And then so I was gonna sign up, and I just got overwhelmed just up the
Yeah.
idea of like
Hmm.
filling all that stuff out
There's so
again.
much shit. It's just like, dude, just help me. Fuck, please, just help me.
Just fucking give me money. Just, I need it. Just trust me, I need it.
Fucking hell, man.
And then my unemployment got kind of automatically extended, and I
Hmm.
was like, okay, like you need some breathing before I have to sign up for this shit again.
You're right. I started an application for food stamps.
Mm-hmm.
About a year ago, or maybe, well, not even a year ago. I don't know. There was so much shit going on last year, especially in real life as well as my mind, that I couldn't go through with it. I applied, and apparently I started the application, but they needed like some documentation and whatever stuff that I just didn't was not in the mood to do. Like, I
Yeah.
could not keep my mind. I mean, I still could barely keep my mind straight, but I'm starting to sort of try to balance it, you know. Anyways, they denied me. Eventually, they denied me. They didn't say you can apply later. They just denied me, saying you didn't give us the information we need. And I'm just like, because, and the reason for that was because when I started applying for it, like it didn't say there was some kind of it kind of what made me think of like with my taxes. Like if you go in there, you start your taxes, you save them. That's all it is. You're saving the information there. You don't submit it or whatever. So that's what I thought it would be like. I thought it'd be like that, where okay, I'm just saving my information. I'm getting started, but I don't have to finish this right now.
Yeah.
But because it's a different system. Because I started there, they just were denying me, and I was like, dude, I wasn't even done yet. You know, like, I just wanted to save it. That's all I wanted to do. Like, damn it.
I
Anyways.
think it's weird that it's so hard to, or I mean, that it's that complicated to sign up for food stamps when
Well,
we file our taxes every year. We're
mm-hmm.
in the
Yeah.
system.
Yeah.
Like they know how
That's
little
cool.
we
It's kind of
make.
like our HUD that, like our new fucking caseworker that I can't stand right now. I will never forget that he said I'm not working with him
Yeah.
when I answered every single question. I was
Yeah.
like, "What do you mean?" I went silent for like 30 seconds on him, and he's like, "Are we okay?" And I'm like, yeah." I was just shocked. I
Yeah.
was shocked. Anyways, I there are, you know, I don't know why. Okay, it doesn't make sense, but apparently there are people that are con men and abuse the system and shit, whatever, and that's why they make it so strict and whatever. It's
The
so
percentage
weird.
of
You would think it'd be small, right?
yeah,
Like
it's
of
very small.
fakers, because it wouldn't make any sense. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
Like, what's it worth to go to somebody to get an extra $1,000, maybe a month of them helping? Like our HUD, right?
Yeah.
That's how they help us. Like I don't
Yeah.
remember what it. Let me see. Let me see what it is. They used to help us a lot more, and that's been defunded. Yeah, like so. For example, our rent is 1875, and they pay $800 towards that. They used to pay more than half. They used to pay more than half years ago. Years ago. This has slowly been coming down and down and down on their side. They used to pay a whole fucking ton. I think there was a point when we first got on it. We paid like around 30% of our rent when Mom first got on it. They paid
Well,
a lot. I remember that much.
yes. Our I think our rent was closer to our voucher now because we're paying above our voucher.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
our vouchers for like
Well, that's another thing. I do you because I like we're getting all sidetracked, but it's an interesting thing.
well, it's also the reason like it's kind of part one of the reasons why we get depressed is because
Mhm.
like when food, clothing, and shelter are not taken care of, like it's scary to live, and it's hard to see a future where all you see is just like potential homelessness and
My newest clothes were from Wags and Dark Alchemy, who sent me T-shirts.
um,
Those are my newest clothes. I think that was a couple of years ago. I don't know because I don't pay attention to time.
Renz brings you clothes from time to time too.
He brings me junk. It's that most of the time it doesn't fit, which is cool, right? Like that's
Yeah.
cool. Like it's something to try.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like if you were to go to a place, Salvation Armor and whatever, where you're
Yeah.
trying to find some shit. But no, as far as like shopping, I have not shopped for clothes since I was a teenager. I don't think. Like,
Mm.
I'm 40 fucking 3 years old,
Yeah.
and all my clothes in my closet are still shit I've been wearing since I was a teenager. Almost. Like I mean, I got like, and if I did get new clothes, later on in my 30s or more adult years, I got new sweatpants,
Yeah.
new pocket t-shirts,
Yeah.
you know, like, and I'm fine with that. Like, I don't mind or anything, but that's the kind of shit we get. And on top of that, even those are way more expensive now.
Oh, I know.
That shit used to be cheap as fuck. That's why we bought it.
Yeah.
We used to buy sweatpants and pocket t-shirts because they used to be incredibly cheap, and now even those cost like a ridiculous amount of money. Like,
Yeah.
it's fucking nuts.
Especially in the bigger sizes, because like I'm 3X. Yeah, I'm like 3X. And those just start. They just add more money. They're like,
Yeah.
everybody else's is $9.99 and yours is $13.99. I was like, for one pair of like sweatpants, fuck you.
Is it? I mean, when was the last time that was? Because I remember the last time. I mean, like even pocket shirts now can be around $15 to $20.
Each?
Yeah.
Oh no, go to Walmart.com. I hate Walmart as a company, but their prices on clothes are like pretty good.
Okay.
Especially like t-shirts and.
I would think it depends on the brand and the.
I get my bras
type
from
or whatever.
them.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Is on top of that, it's not just that, but it's the cloth type, the texture. You know, like,
Oh yeah,
you're gonna get cheap shit when you pay cheap shit. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but the thing about Walmart is because it's such a huge conglomeration, they can buy in such a huge quantities that the quality isn't necessarily bad, but it is still cheap.
Well, the only reason I say it is because I haven't shopped in so long. I remember
the
last time I looked was probably 7 years ago.
Oh wow.
And that's why it's because I was like, dude, I can't even afford this shit now. I don't even care. I remember that was so long ago that I looked to shop for clothes. I was like, I'm never gonna shop for clothes again. That's fucking stupid. As long as my clothes fit me, fuck it, man. Like this, you know, these sweatpants I'm wearing right now are at least 10 years old. Like, probably at least, you know. But whatever, I can still wear them. I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
Like, you know, they're faded black at this point, but
They're definitely like dark gray.
But no, that's what's funny, because I remember like Wags sent me a whole set of t-shirts, which I wore on the stream for a while, you know. And I wear them when I go out too. They're some of my favorite. They're like my most recent favorite shirts. And Crystal, a long time ago, had bought me a few shirts here and there, which was cool. But that was the thing too. Like, I didn't even do my own shopping. My sister and friends did shopping for me, you know, which is great. Which is a part of one of those things where you can recognize something in your life that's wonderful, you know, and that's something I've never denied. I recently posted something on I just think because this is something I think all the time. I'm like, you know, I think I even told you this. I was like, I am so completely miserable, and I still thank God for what I have. It's a complete mind fuck. Like, to me, it's a mind fuck.
Yeah.
Because I am grateful for what I have, but I'm not happy, you know, which is horrible. Like, it sucks.
People act like gratefulness is the cure for depression.
Equal to happiness or something, like, or
it's just that it's the cure. It's the cure for like depression. It's
are you sad? Be grateful for what you have.
Yeah.
And it's well, you motherfucker, you know, like. I am grateful for it. I very much recognize what I have. Like,
I remember Madeline, after Mom died, was like, well, you still have friends, and you still have your brother, and you still have me. And I'm just like, yeah, I have what I have, but I've also lost what I've lost. It's like, if you lose an arm, like, you're grateful that you have your other limbs, but you still fucking miss your arm, you know? It's like still harder to hold shit, you know?
Right, it's still harder to hold shit. Oh man. Yeah, so well, another thing too is, like, I don't know why, but I can't just not care about what's going on in the world, not just for myself. That's another thing. I was thinking about that, like, I think earlier today.
Like, even if things were going well for yourself, it's still shit for so many people.
Everything sucks. Yeah. And that's what also is part of the mind fuck for me, is like, I'm good. If I think about it, you know, I can barely pay my bills, but I can pay them. I've got fucking games up the ass. You know, I can watch TV. I can chill. I'm in warmth.
It's cold outside. It's warm in here.
You know, I have it good, and I'm not happy at all.
Yeah.
And it's weird to me because I think about it too, because I'm like, I hear this same kind of story about rich people. They've got everything they want and they're not happy, and I'm like, I don't think it's the same. I don't think it's the same kind of like unhappiness, like I don't know. That's why I don't. That's something I was like, how the fuck do I compare myself to that? I was trying to. I didn't really give it a whole lot of thought, but I was thinking about. I was like, because I get that just because you're rich doesn't make you happy, but it's like a whole different. I don't know. It just seems like a different thing. Like I don't. I can't compare it because I've never been rich, so I don't know what it's like to be a rich unhappy person.
Well, I think part of it, because there's different reasons for depression. So there's clinical, there's situational, and then there's, chronic. So if you have a chemical imbalance, then, I mean, that's why I wanted to talk about the drugs, because, like, both of us have depression. Some of it is situational. Some of it would be eased if we
Some of it, not all of it.
if we had all of our financial issues taken care of.
If we didn't have to worry.
Our health issues.
I'm constantly stressed. Constantly.
Yeah. So if we didn't have like health issues, or like if we could just go out and get new glasses and get our teeth fixed and, get new clothes and not worry about like paying our bills next month or the month after or the month after or the month after, then that would be the situational depression that would be lifted. But we still also have, I think, a level of empathy that
I'd say you know more technical terms than I do, but I know for me my depression is far more, always has been, less situational and more emotional.
Yeah. Well, so that's kind of where the chemical imbalance kind of comes in. And but by the way, you've always been in a shitty situation. So that's why it's hard to say it's hard to say like we had shitty childhoods. Like much as mom loved us and hard as she tried, like she was a fucked up person and she made a lot of mistakes and we never had a safe, stable childhood.
Well, see, now there's that, because I don't agree with you there.
Really? Because you don't remember her taking back your Christmas presents and
I remember her
presents.
smashing my shit.
Yeah.
But I remember also knowing I deserved it. And I hated it. It made me cry, and it was very upsetting.
Jeremy, the worst part is that you thought that you deserved it.
Hey, look. Now, maybe the punishment was severe, but I know what I did was wrong. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So now in that, like in what you're saying is like I could compare that to somebody who gets arrested for marijuana possession and goes to prison for 20 years. Like that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
That kind of a thing. So yeah, no, I'm not saying that that what she did wasn't extreme. I'm just saying.
But in terms of like okay, so like if you're growing up and you need a sense of like justice or balance or whatever, like you weren't gonna get it from her. Because she would either underreact to really bad things or she would overreact to small things.
Well, here's the thing.
And then sometimes she would react appropriately to the situation. And then how the fuck are you as a child supposed to internalize all that and be like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to grow up and be normal now.
Well, I think, now for me, I remember telling you this when mom first died, like, and I'll never forget this. But anything bad for me, any bad memories or any anger that I ever had, was just poof.
Yeah.
It was instantly gone.
Towards her.
Yeah.
But not towards you.
Why would that ever stop? Well, funny. So part of that, like I get it, but I'm
not saying you should be angry at her. I think she did the best she could.
So the reason I say this is because I don't remember, and I've talked about this a couple of times. I don't bring it up too much when I talk to people about it, but I remember. I mean, even told you that, like I told her straight to her face, I wish she was dead when I was younger.
Yeah.
Like I would at least a couple times, I would tell her straight to her face, not just rush off into my room and scream, I wish you were dead, but straight to her face, I wish you were dead, So so I know that I was mad at her at times, of
Uh-huh.
course, like whatever. Like to me, that's kind of normal to be mad at your relatives and loved ones, whatever, because it's kind of like I've talked to you about this and my friends as well. I tried explaining it because sometimes I feel like to me it's so normal to get mad at someone for saying something really fucking stupid and calling them an idiot to their face, but still be friends, still consider them a friend and still consider them someone you care about. But I've seen that a lot of people aren't that way.
Yeah.
Like if you call them an idiot to their face, all of a sudden they hate your guts and think you're the enemy. And I'm just like, well, hold the fuck on, man. And
So my mom used to say she hated my guts,
don't just say,
but she still loved me.
all you gotta do is just not say stupid shit. That's, like, fuck, man. And then, it's funny. Every time I think that way too, because I think of that as myself when I think of friends like that. I also know that I have said plenty of stupid shit myself. Like then that's never gonna stop. Like there's always gonna be something I'm gonna say stupid, especially with the way I am. Like I've something that I started to recognize. Like I call myself emotionally unstable. I would not. It's not my own words. I just recognize it from the description, and I'm like, all right, I can accept it. Yeah, I'm emotionally unstable. Um, so I don't know. It's just weird. It's weird. I don't remember even why I got into that, but it's because you were talking about how mom, she did bad things.
Well,
I mean, we got spanked. Remember we talked about that too. I will never forget. I always think it's a very funny subject, and I agree. And I'm cool with people saying that the physical punishment is the wrong thing to do or whatever. It's abuse of children or whatever. But I mean, times change too.
yeah.
A long time ago, that was so normal that literally everybody fucking did it. It was like if your kid was bad, you spanked them. And that was, and then nobody's gonna be like, oh, child abuse, oh my gosh, But now people are like that, which is fine. I think it makes sense to figure out different, better ways to punish your kid or let them know something's wrong. It doesn't have to be a punishment, but let them know it's wrong. You have to raise them properly and stuff. And that takes a lot of work too. And that's why just having been through what we went through with mom, like I recognize that, and I can easily recognize it when I see the way other parents treat their kids because I know our mom was not perfect. I know that, but I also recognize how she did her very fucking best. Like it amazes me. It amazes me how good of a mom she was with all of her faults.
Yeah.
All the shit that we went through. But and the reason that I recognize that is because I have seen shitty parents, and oh my gosh,
I think the difference between mom and like just a regular shitty parent is just that she did love us and she did genuinely want to be a good mother.
She made mistakes.
She made a lot of mistakes.
There are people that don't care about their kids at all.
Yeah, but
it's fucking crazy.
The point wasn't just to like we should be angry at her. It's just to understand, like you've never had a living situation, whether it was as a child or an adult, where you felt like all of your needs were being taken care of.
Well, see, you say that, but the one thing I'll remember, and I've never forgotten, is how I remember you told me that years later, because I used to tell you, I'd be like, how the fuck did she get us everything we ever wanted? And you were like, oh, she was in debt. And I was like, oh. But yeah, so no, I mean, as far as that, no, I mean, there is a certain thing where I can understand, like, but even back then, we had cheap shoes. We shopped at Payless, it was Payless, right?
Payless and Kmart.
But, we didn't have the brand stuff. Like, I remember one time I got brand shoes. God. And even I regret it even then. Like, I thought it was so cool because I got to show them off. But I recognize, even when I was a kid, like, how ridiculous that was.
Yeah.
And that's kind of... I'm glad that I learned that so young. Having a pair of shoes just because they cost so fucking much makes you cool? Like, are you serious? Like,
yeah.
What is this stupid shit?
So, no, you are taking a shitty situation and finding positives in it. And that's great. But what I'm saying is, in terms of situational depression versus, like, chemical or clinical depression, is you've never had a not shitty situation.
Yeah.
Like, being able to like, turn your mind to appreciate what's good is a great coping mechanism for being in a shitty situation. You wouldn't have made it this far without that.
Well, no, I'm just
But
the
I'm
reason.
saying if we were lifted out of like poverty and had our all of our health concerns taken care of and we didn't have to worry about that, there still would be an underlying issue of like now that that's taken care of. Like I remember when I first started at Flappers and I was so excited to go there every day and I was so happy and I would still have these horrible suicidal
Yeah.
thoughts. And just like it was so much less because I was so happy, but I could go from being like super happy and excited and laughing to like just wanting to fucking die
In an instant.
in an instant. And that was when, I was, it was like
Nothing triggered it. It just happens.
it just happens.
It just poof. Yeah.
Yeah, so I know what it's like to be in a situation where my future looks hopeful and and I'm not worried about anything and to still experience that depression, but there are two different types of depression.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different solutions. One solution is to figure out how to live in an unstable environment, which we're really good at.
We're very used to it. It's normal. It's such a normal thing, but
and that's
it doesn't
kind of,
take the stress away, though.
no, but it's also kind of scary when you go from like unstable to stable, and then you're like, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. It's kind of like living on a boat your whole life, and then like going on land.
I could not understand. So that's a bad analogy for me to go with. But that's funny.
There's a moment like when I went on that cruise and I like stepped off and I was like, why isn't the floor moving?
I remember you told me that. That's cool.
And I'd heard people describe it before, but I was also like, you'd to experience it yourself. It's like weird.
Yeah. I mean, and that's something that we talk about too sometimes is where, that's one of my favorite things of being older and is how there are times when somebody teaches you something or tells you something and you fully understand what they're saying, but you don't really get it until you go through it.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting thing about life, That's always cool to me because like those are my favorite things to recognize. Those are they're just my favorite things to be like, man, I feel so stupid for it, but I also love that about it.
Yeah. Well, it's also because like, you think you've experienced everything and then you have a new experience and it's like, oh yeah, I've heard about that so many times and that's what that's like.
Because it's not like you didn't understand it. It's just the experience is different. It's kind of like, and I'm very bad with analogies as well, but it just makes me think of like, there is a different experience watching a movie at home than there is watching it in a theater. It's just a different experience, like, so the analogy isn't quite attached to that, but like there's a different experience from it and stuff, whatever. So you can understand something, but unless you've gone through it yourself, that's kind of like, I mean, I didn't even know until last year. I think it was either last year or just the year before. I didn't realize that there are people in the world that have no idea what it's like to be depressed. Like,
Yeah.
Like, I was like, how is that even possible?
Yeah.
How is it even fucking possible?
When Renz got sick and he was like doing the dialysis 3 days a week and I was seeing him because he had lost so much weight and he looked really fucking like he was about to die because he had almost died. And I was like, if I had to do dialysis 3 days a week, I would definitely like want to fucking kill myself even more than I already do. And he was like, I think he had like a very short period where he got really dark. But he's adjusted. It's been like 6 years that he's been on the dialysis.
He thought he was gonna die in the first year.
Yeah. Oh, and like, I would think that there was a part of him like in that first year where he was just like, it was for the first time in his life, was like he didn't want to kill himself, but it was like if I stopped existing, I would be okay with it. Where I think his whole life he was like just fighting to survive and just really wanted to be here. And there are people who have never thought about killing themselves.
Well, here's the thing. At least, like right, like that too. But there is a difference between suicidal thoughts and depression.
Yeah,
these are two different things. I mean, they're attached to each other, but being depressed doesn't mean you think about killing yourself all the time.
Yeah. Well, I
They're
think everybody experiences depression, situational depression, right?
mm,
Where there's something wrong and they get upset about it, and maybe they
sadness.
feel
Isn't that more
maybe they
sadness than depression
well
though?
maybe they feel helpless or hopeless
Yeah.
or they
So
don't
it's kind of a form of depression, I guess.
situation. Yeah, it's just based on and something weird about
Because
situational.
the reason I say that differentiating or whatever is because depression, for me, is
Mhm.
like you said. It's like that switch that flips. There's no control. There's nothing. It's just out of fucking nowhere. You could
Yeah,
be the happiest fucking. You could have like the happiest moment, and then a second you want to kill yourself.
yeah,
Like literally.
yeah. I remember having a great night at Flappers. It was like it was so great, and I had friends, and I for the first time I just felt like I belonged somewhere, and I came home and I was like, I should kill myself now before the depression comes back because I never want to feel that way again.
Okay, that's a different level of craziness right there. I fully understand, but that's not quite the same thing as the switch flipping there. That's a cheat.
No,
Oh fuck.
but then I got really depressed after
Oh
I had that
my
thought.
gosh.
But yeah, no, it's just like just knowing that it'll come back. It's just like I just it's just yeah, it's just shitty. But no, like I think depression is just like a sense of hopelessness, and then for me the worst part of depression is when I just get to the point where I just don't care at all.
Oh,
It's
that's
like
where I've been for a long time.
nothing matters, doesn't like trying, don't even fucking
Yeah,
bother getting out of bed.
yeah.
Just don't even fucking bother.
Well, you know what's funny? But like, well, not funny, but like, so we have that understanding that we can relate to. So the difference is too. It's kind of like I could tell too. Some of the way you describe depression is slightly different than the way I would describe it, and that's just that's how it goes. And it's also the reaction to depression is different too. So my sister, I didn't know this for a long time. I found out in the past couple of years or so. I think we've talked about this, and time for me is a non-existent thing.
Mm-hmm.
So 2 years to me is 2 days. Or 2 minutes or 2 seconds is the same shit. So it's really easy for me not to be able to remember exactly how long ago something was. So anyways, if it, just off the top of my head, I could say a couple of years now, but I didn't realize this about my sister how until she told me about it because we talked about it, and I didn't realize that it basically if she sleeps all day, she's depressed.
Or I can't sleep all day if I'm having issues, like
There, well,
physical
yeah,
issues.
no. So one of the one not that's not the only reason you might be sleeping all day for
Yeah.
right, but
And then also some part of it is just that I'm on a different sleep schedule than you.
yeah, but that's something I had to learn though. I didn't realize that. We spoke about this. This was when you were quitting your job, that one job that was just
Oh
making you
god, I was
miserable.
just so tired all the time.
Yeah, so that was the first time I realized how my sister reacts to depression is
Yeah.
just sleeping all
I
fucking
would
day.
I would come home from work, I would go like maybe grab something to eat, sometimes just go immediately to bed. Wake up a couple hours later, get something to eat, go back to bed, and then like wake up in the morning and I'd be like, all right, well, um, I've had 18 hours of sleep or whatever. Like I should be fine. And I just like drag my ass through the workday and then come home and go back to bed. That's when you know it's really bad, when you can't do anything but sleep.
So that's your reaction that I learned about, which is very weird and interesting to me. For me, I can't sleep. I can't stop thinking. It's a constant running through my brain, and it's not one thought. It's endless. Like it's. I feel like I often feel schizophrenic. Often, very very often. I feel like I have 100,000 fucking personalities. I'm just like, what the fuck, like, So that's so I don't do that though. I can't sleep it off because when I try to sleep, I can't sleep. And it's I don't know, whatever. One of the things that I started doing recently with trying to handle paying attention to real life and specifically politics. and a lot of people are like, "Oh, just forget politics," and it drives me fucking crazy. To me, people saying to ignore politics is like saying just be happy. That's what it is to me.
Just breathe the clean air. Don't breathe the polluted air. Just breathe the clean air.
And I get it because, you know, it's not a fun subject to talk about. Everybody's going to have, you know... Here's the thing that's fucked up about it to me is because we're all misinformed.
Oh, yeah.
About everything.
Yeah. Well, and we would be even if people weren't being dishonest with us because our perspectives are so different from each other.
Yeah, so there's that. But the reason that it makes me so mad is because... I'm here fucking thinking, to me it is very much like just be happy, because I'm sitting here thinking like, well, ignoring politics is literally ignoring real life. And I've been doing that most of my life. I've been doing it because I saw it before, recognized it before. It's
never
only
not
gotten
been
worse.
Shitty. Yeah.
It's only gotten worse.
Yeah.
There has never been like it got normal. People act like that too. People are like, oh, it's gonna go back to normal. It's only ever gotten fucking worse. Our system, the entire fucking shit, everything has only gotten worse. And I'm just like, and people are saying
like within our lifetime, yes. There was a period before, like up until I think probably Reagan, where things were getting from like FDR to Reagan, like where things were looking
slowly
up,
kind of going up,
and like I think the middle class was growing, and
hearing about it, yeah.
You know, poverty was shrinking. There weren't as many like people who had amassed like not 1% of the wealth, like that kind of stuff. Like it was never equal, and you know, poor people and black people were not black people of color. Every minority, gay people, disabled people, you know, non-Christians, like those people have always been oppressed. But there was a point when there was upward mobility. You could work your way out of poverty, and you could work your way out.
Was there?
Yeah.
So I'm curious because I don't fully recognize this. I do remember when I was a young teenager and I first started working, I do remember that it was easier to move up a little bit quicker as far as position-wise at your job. Mm-hmm. But from the sounds of it, what you're telling me, was this before we even started working?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Because even when it was possible for me, it never felt worth it.
No. And...
Like, yeah. I became manager at Blockbuster.
Yeah, and it
wasn't worth it.
You weren't getting a
it wasn't
wage.
Worth it.
Like, you couldn't move out.
Yeah.
You know, like if you're a manager anywhere, you would assume that you could be able to afford to live in your own city on your own, right? And maybe even support a family.
Every time I think back to that I was literally a manager, it made no fucking difference.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that.
Yeah.
I asked to be demoted.
Yeah.
It was so fucking pointless.
Mm-hmm. All you got was more stress.
It was worthless. Yeah.
Yeah. More stress and like what, 25 cents more an hour?
Yeah, probably. I think so. Yeah. No, I remember. And you know, I loved that job too. That's what's a trip to me.
Yeah.
I liked working there. I tell this to people all the time. It is different now. You know, my heart, my natural state is wanting to be around people. Mm-hmm. That's my natural state. But where I'm at mentally now, I want nothing to do with anybody ever again.
Yeah.
I want the world to die. Mm. If not just me, you know, whatever. But anyways.
I'm kind of like you're more of a people person. I've always been a loner. I've always been like, I remember like being in kindergarten and I had my first friends. Simple. Do you remember Simple?
I still talk to her. Sometimes she actually started commenting on my Facebook posts lately. The political ones, she actually started responding to some of them, which is fucking cool.
Uh-huh.
Because, like, I actually like her more now because of it. I never got really close with her.
She's, like, one of the coolest people ever.
She's amazing. But she made me think a little bit of you. We don't talk a lot or anything, but her comments on my posts on the political stuff.
Yeah.
She's very sensible.
Yes.
You know? And I'm like, holy shit, thank God, finally. Fuck, man. It feels like everybody I've talked to is just fucking crazy. Like, and which makes me think I'm the crazy one. You know? And I don't even mean this about personal. I just generally, because I've been, I, I don't want somebody listening, one of my friends listening, the only friend probably listening right now.
Hi, Dark.
To think it's them. I mean, I started getting quiet everywhere on my own like Discord. I don't chat, but I mean that's not just because of me. It's because nobody fucking chats on there with me ever since. Well, I mean it's always kind of been like that, but ever since I like in 2020 when I started sharing all this political shit and all my thoughts to it, oh man, I fucking pushed everybody away.
Yeah.
And I remember it was recently. It was like a month ago. I was like, wait, why the fuck am I the bad guy? Like, why am I the bad guy?
You're not
and I'll tell you,
bad guy. You're just a bad guy.
Well, I'll tell you, I can sort of understand because I was thinking about this today earlier. I was just thinking how I am not in a mental space where I can be patient and not just be angry constantly. So with that kind of mentality, I'm reacting to what people are saying without trying to first make sense. I started doing that a little bit. Like I started trying to slow it down. I was writing a comment like Corinne. Can you remember Corinne?
Yeah.
I had a fucking crush on. Oh my gosh, dude, hardcore crush, dude. Oh my gosh, I was so in love with that chick. But she's a Trumper.
No, she was so nice.
You know, but that's a part of our misinformation, our constant lies, our constant...
She's not a bad person.
Yeah, constant just listening to the speeches that are full of shit and everything that our fucking country does to us.
Well, it's also like playing on... I think the difference between like us and like a regular person who doesn't have depression is that they believe the positive messages that are being sold to them, and we're just like, well, that's bullshit.
Well, no, see, that's the thing. Like, I remember that's what I especially struggled with in 2020 specifically, because I was like, all right. I remember I actually lost some followers over it too, because I started saying like I like Biden's speeches.
Mm-hmm.
Because I already knew I was in the same set where I already knew no matter what, no matter who, it would take an extremely large fucking movement to actually vote off the duopoly.
Yeah.
The amount of people that are shouting and screaming is not enough, which is crazy because there's a lot. There's just so many people and it means nothing. It's like the 1%.
Yeah.
Or the 1% of the poor people. It's the opposite of the rich, right? Like, it's so weird how that works. Like, the 1% that are in power versus the 1% that are actually trying to fight them, because everybody else is in between. And it's fucking crazy to me. But I remember, I did the same thing. I watched the DNC, the RNC parts of it. I couldn't watch all of it because it's just fucking insanity. Some of it was entertaining. I'll tell you what, the RNC was far more entertaining than the DNC. I can say that.
I can't say either of them are entertaining.
No. Well, no, I like, just as a person that hates everything they stand for, and I watched the RNC and the DNC, and I couldn't watch every second, but I watched most of them. And the RNC was better. They even made fun of this one chick who was like screaming, "We're gonna make..." I can't remember. I wish I could remember her name, but she did this amazing speech, and people made fun of her for it. And I thought it was fucking funny because it was one of the coolest speeches I had ever heard. Like, she was super passionate about it, like really. And I was just like, holy shit, that speech was fucking awesome. I wish I actually was for Trump because that speech was so good. Like, it was really, but she got made fun of, like, fuck, they made crazy memes out of her and for it and stuff. And I was like, dude, it's funny to me because that was a really good speech. If it was for somebody I supported and for the policies and ideology I supported, I would like, fuck yeah. She'd have been the Malcolm X to the MLK for me. But no, it was like MLK or fucking Malcolm X for Trump.
Ugh.
Which is disgusting, yeah. Or Hitler, Hitler doing a cool ass powerful speech for the fucking white supremacist kind of a thing. You know what I mean? Like if I supported white supremacy, that would be a cool speech.
I think Arnold Schwarzenegger said something like that.
Oh, did he?
He said that Hitler was a great orator, and then he got a lot of shit for saying that.
I mean, and that's the thing that I had to learn too. Is that's what I started recognizing, because I'd seen people talk about it. I mean, this wasn't even like last year. This was all my life. I've seen people talk about it. I've seen mention of it. The thing called identity politics. I never had a full grasp on it until right now. And I was just like, holy
because,
shit.
like, you're not telling people what you are, but they're telling you what you are.
What? What?
Like somebody said that you were so extreme left, and then another person
Mm.
said that you were too extreme right, or I don't know. Like, but people are telling you what you are, and like identity politics, like is supposed to mean that you identify yourself as a certain way, and you won't see any other point of view. But what really happens is that I see myself a certain way, and then if you say a certain thing, I'm like, oh, that means you're this. It's like I'm
So
identifying
I
you.
misunderstood identity politics even now.
No, no, I think you understood it. I'm just saying that the backlash to that is that it's so extreme that it affects the way that you see other people. So that's why people keep identifying you as things that you're not.
I can understand that too because, you know, like for example, you could spend a whole year or months or whatever, or even a month or a week, and just trashing on Trump,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just trashing on like, yeah, I'm with this person. I like them because I fully agree with all this stuff. Like I get it. And then the next thing they do is they say, "Yay, Biden," and you're like, "No, fuck you, you idiot!" You know.
It's Bernie or death.
So well, not just that. Not. I mean, that's the thing too is people pointing out bad things about Bernie. He has some and I think
You mean he's a human being who has made mistakes in his life?
well, part of it is the system. People point out stuff like Bernie has apparently supported war type stuff, okay, like interfering with other countries and stuff. And I could, for the way I could see, now I don't know all the details. The way I can see it is Bernie means well because he wants to help other countries. That I can understand, and I've seen this with AOC as well. I've seen this with other politicians, especially now with those so-called progressives getting in, and that's why I'm done with that shit. You need to fucking show me that you're working for me. You can't just fucking say it. Give us laws and things that make fucking sense. Get the fuck out of war. Stop destroying the planet. Stop this bullshit. They're all talk. But that's our system. And we've talked about this before. That is literally the system. I made a video. You still haven't watched it, right? I don't want you to go watch it. I expect you to go watch it. Video of like what I learned, some of what I learned about politics in 2020. Oh fuck! Why was I saying that? Damn it. Ah, shit. Anyways, the system itself. The reason part of that video I said like we need to start from page one. There's no fixing the system. We can't. The way that we would have to fix everything that's already in place would be to literally rewrite everything. So you might as well just fucking start from page one right now.
Yeah.
Just start from page fucking one, blank page. Do it now. Start. That's it. We can't fucking keep rewording stupid shit that makes no sense. Because, like, if you ever look at that stuff, it doesn't make any fucking sense.
No.
It's so ridiculous.
And it's intentional.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
They want you to think that you have to be smart in order to read their double talk bullshit.
It is double talk. It's exactly what it is, yeah. So the reason that came up is because, like, I reckon people were pointing out Bernie was, in a sense, just to put it simply, pro-war.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he actually was pro-war. I think he's working with the system that he has to work with.
Yeah.
Which is not good though. I mean, that's the argument of everything. That's why we have people hate on AOC right now too. It took me a long time. I was really hating AOC for a while. I felt like she was a hypocrite and whatever.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what really switched it was the other day she went to a strike. There was a strike in New York against like this huge grocery store outlet or whatever, and people are pissed off that she's this press what's it called, the photo ops or whatever.
Oh.
I don't think it was though. It didn't seem like it was a photo op or anything.
No.
Especially with like people like Cori Bush, she kept doing protests even after she already got in.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see that when she got into Congress or whatever? Right, that's what I forget what the fuck she is, but she got in. She was literally voted in, and like a week or two later she was at a protest again. And I was like, this is the fucking shit right here. Like, that's real. So I struggled with it. It's kind of like when I struggled with Biden's speeches. I was like, this all sounds very nice. Of course, it sounds very sensible. But then that's why I didn't just stop there. I went and looked. And I was fucking like this is all horrible. Like, this is... And because it's kind of like the whole thing, like, all this time... We've seen it all our lives. where they say one thing and do another. It's just constant lies. It's all lies, 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 lies. So as long as people don't, and that's why they do it, because they know people won't continue watching. They know people won't follow and watch and make sure that they're doing what the fuck they said they were gonna do, like a parent would. You know, did you brush your teeth? Let me see you brush your fucking teeth. You know, like.
It's so weird that mom would check.
She did,
like, to make sure our hands were clean or our teeth were clean.
Yeah,
it's like, why don't you trust me? What?
She did. I remember. Like, she didn't do it like every single time, but she made sure we would brush our teeth. And
I
shit,
remember the first time she did that to me, and I was like, "You mean I could have just said I did it?" Because she didn't ask every night.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But anyway, that was so weird.
But, yeah, no. So that's what happens is, and that's why it's so easy.
Since we're on politics, did you want to talk about that censorship thing?
No, I'm kind of. I know we went super far off. I mean, we could, but was there a specific thing drug related that you were?
Nah, we can talk about drugs more some other time.
I think it's kind of cool, and that's what's funny, and that's something that I think about all the time too. And it was kind of what I was telling you about earlier, where I was like, you know, the answer to here's another thing I was thinking. The answer, the normal answer, which makes perfect sense to me. Don't talk about politics. Like, duh. I get that. I fully do, because that's the same thing to me as just be happy. Well, in a sense, they're two different things to me. I see it as just be happy, which is just bullshit. But I also see it as ignore reality.
Or accept the status quo.
Well, I don't think everybody that says that means to just accept the status quo. I think they just recognize that all it does is bring frustration and anger and stress.
But somebody who says don't talk about politics, is that someone who's going to protests in their off time? Or is that somebody who just wants to get through the day without
for example,
thinking about
Dark Alchemy says that.
Okay. And
he means because he can see how it affects me.
Right.
So that's more of a personal thing. He knows that it makes me, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But he's not, as far as I can tell, he's not trying to say that to just let them be in power. Maybe he does. I don't see it that way, you know. Like,
I mean, maybe he does.
Maybe he does. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, you'd have to ask him. But like, if somebody says don't think about politics or don't talk about politics and everything will be okay, that's somebody who's not being hurt by the way that things are going right now.
Well, now you say that, I agree with you.
Or they don't acknowledge that.
Well,
there's something about their situation that they don't acknowledge needs to be changed.
He does recognize a lot of problems in the system. Like, we've talked about that. And that's why I'm still friends with him. Mm-hmm. You know, we had a very, oh my God, I was scared out of my fucking mind to lose him as a friend. Mm. But we've talked it out, like, and we recognize each other, you know, whatever. But so I do agree with you fully. I think maybe we're in different situations. Like, he's also kind of, as far as I can tell, he's also kind of a month-to-month person. Almost. He does have more he actually has savings and whatever, and he's working towards that, right? So he's a little bit, I would say he's better off than us. Mm-hmm. But he understands what that's like. Yeah. You know, and he hasn't forgotten it, kind of a thing. Right. So I don't know. That's why it's weird, right? I think specifically, I'm assuming maybe that he means me specifically because he knows it's painful. But that's why it bugs me. And I know he doesn't do that to bug me. Right. My reaction is the same reaction that I have when somebody says, just be happy or stop being poor. Just go buy a house.
Stop being poor.
Like, literally, politicians were saying that shit, you know?
Stop being poor.
Fucking motherfuckers, man. They have no idea, though. You can tell that those people have no fucking clue what it's like to live as a normal person. Yeah.
As Ben Shapiro was saying, he's been widely criticized for saying, somebody was saying that that the waters were rising on the coasts because of global warming, and he's like, well, just sell your house. And then Age of Bomber guy is kind of famous for just like bursting out of a wall and screaming, to who? Fucking Aquaman?
I don't understand that at all.
Because their houses were getting flooded and they were going underwater.
Aquaman. Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Yeah, no, so it's like someone who's just so beyond clueless that
Okay.
but no, if you're not actively being hurt by the system, you're less likely to be
Well,
actively trying to change it.
that's true. And here's the thing. What's that you mentioned. I was actually just thinking about that today too, because we are in the system.
Oh yeah.
We fuck God.
And we have been. We were on welfare when we were kids. We were on Medi-Cal until we were 21.
We've never not had help from the system.
Yep, nope.
And what's funny, I always think about it because I'm like, people will shit on this is a socialism thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a socialistic thing that we have these programs.
Yeah, but it's really, yes. Yeah, and the people shitting on it is actually based in racism.
Well, no, that's the other thing too. Is something I had recently started seeing, and I remember this when I was younger too, but I didn't. Again, this was things that I recognized but never got into the details, the specifics, right? Like I always recognized it. I could remember you probably remember too when we were kids. Socialism and communism were always the enemy. You remember that, right? Always.
Yes. And, well, part of the reason why communism and socialism have a bad name is because certain countries that have so-called adopted socialism,
they're fake. It's not the real version.
Yes.
It's their version of it, yeah.
Even Hitler, like, called himself a socialist
Yeah.
because socialism was really popular when he was running.
I remember that.
So he called himself a socialist and said bullshit socialist type things, but really what he was after was just, murdering people.
What's it called? It's kind of authoritarian.
Yeah. So something people say to counter socialism is to say, well, Hitler was a socialist. No, he wasn't.
Yeah, no.
He never was. He never gave a shit about
lies.
People. Yeah.
It's all lies and bullshit.
It's that
pandering.
The video I sent you is why the right can't tell the truth, or why the right always lies, is because essentially what it breaks down to is that they have to lie because people don't want the reality that people don't want what they actually want. So they have to say, oh, we're actually for socialism. We're actually for helping people. We're actually for,
Well, I'm curious your opinion on this, because the way you said that. Now, as far as times do change, because the reason I want to say that is because there were times where, for example, I think, I don't know, but from what I've seen, the majority of white people were white supremacists. They were born into it, and they just naturally, because of their world that they lived in, if they were not anti-black, they did think they were better than black people, for example.
Yeah, well, I think it also depends on where you were regionally. And then also, it also depends on what time you were living in.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
When slavery first started in America, it started out more as indentured servitude, where you could earn your freedom after a certain amount of time.
I always forget about that part. That's so gross. Oh my gosh.
And the reason why black slavery or African slavery became so popular is because one of the way. Okay, so if you wanted to have white people enslave all white people forever, how are you going to tell a white person apart from another white person?
Rich versus poor.
Right, but if you're Irish, say you're Irish, you kill your slave owner, you steal all his money, you move up north.
I see.
And you start over in this
What's
new
your
town.
point to that? I'm curious.
Nobody's going to know you used to be a slave.
Oh, I like that.
But if you look at a black person...
If I go kill Biden and take over his home, or Jeff Bezos, or Bill Gates, I could go fucking kill them and take over their house and just live there, and they wouldn't even know the difference.
Exactly. Because you look exactly like
I fucking love that, man. I've been told I look like Bill Gates, so I think that's a plan, right?
See, you could do that. But, Denzel Washington couldn't. You see what I mean?
Oh, okay. Fortunately, Denzel doesn't need to do that, but
so
yeah.
the reason that slavery changed and the reason that African slavery became so popular is because you could immediately look at somebody and tell the difference between them and their owner.
Okay.
And in the beginning, actually, there were black slave owners who would have indentured servitude servants, actually, essentially in the beginning, and then they would own them and they would work for a certain amount of time and then they'd let them go free. And that was the idea in the beginning behind slavery was that eventually you could earn your freedom. And so there were black slave owners. I mean, they were in the minority, but you earn your freedom, you go, you buy your own slaves, you start your own farm. But what happened is people started to panic and think, oh no, what happens when we run out of land? Which is like, how fucking huge is America? There's huge swaths of land that we've never even touched or been to.
Or ruined yet.
Exactly. So,
still in the works of that.
It's the greed and the deprivation and that led to the popularization of black slavery. But
Jeez.
And also to so Tim Weiss has a documentary about how racism hurts white people, which is really interesting because essentially we were talking about the social reforms and the socialism. You and I, we've always been on the system, but there's also been a lot of shame associated with it.
Oh yeah.
Lives.
Oh yeah. If you're on welfare, you're fucking...
Or going to the store with food stamps, so embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because at school, people would make fun of you. I bet you buy your food with food stamps, Or I bet you...
very common joke.
I bet you shop at Pick and Save, I saw you
Which we did!
So,
every time we heard those jokes, I was like, I do, actually.
I saw you at Pick and Save, and then the best come back was, well, why were you there?
Yeah.
So, it's like, but yeah, so the reason why... Because welfare was not initially a thing that people were ashamed to be a part of. It was for white Americans.
Isn't it basically an Ubi?
No, because that would have been for everybody.
Well, I mean,
not just
everybody could apply, though, couldn't they?
Yes. Well, no, actually. Oh. People of color couldn't apply.
Oh, it was... Okay, but the idea, though, let's just, if we were to compare it, if you were to think about...
Ubi would apply to rich people, poor people, and everybody in the middle.
Why would rich people need Ubi?
They don't need it, but it's a lot harder to... It's a lot harder to cancel something that people are like, well, why don't I get it? Especially rich people, because rich people are so afraid of losing what they already have.
Okay.
Because they know they don't fucking
let
deserve
them have
it.
Let's all have it. Fuck it, dude.
That's what I'm saying. It's harder to abolish. Like, what the example is?
That's
like
ridiculous.
Is like, roads. Like, we all use roads. Governments build them. We don't build them. They're not private. And because they're for everybody, nobody's like... Very few people are like, let's just stop building roads. Like some people say that, but they're usually on the very fringe, right? But because it's something that we all as a society benefit from, then it's okay. There's not roads just for poor people.
Yeah.
Or the poorer you are, the better your road is.
Now, you say that. The only reason is because it's possible. It's kind of the same. I don't remember all. Like, I remember hearing similar things. I don't know the entire history of Hitler and all that kind of stuff, but they did have even colored people, sidewalks dedicated to white people. Oh, you're on my side of this sidewalk. Oh, yeah. I've seen these stories. If black people were walking on the same sidewalk as white people, they'd be like, go to your side.
Oh my God.
Like bicycle lanes, kind of, right? Like there'd be black people lanes for sidewalks or whatever. Now I don't know the entire history. I just remember hearing stories of that, seeing stories of that. And this happens in other countries right now. Literally right now in other countries where Jews or... apparently in one... I forget which country it is, but apparently there's a country where Jews are like Americans, and they're very racist towards non-Jews.
Is it Israel?
Israel, now apparently the thing with Israel is it's a fake country. It's not an actual country. That's why it's called Israel. Like, that's a joke kind of a thing. Like, it's this meme. People, is it real? When I found it out, I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
I don't think that's where it comes from.
That's where the meme comes from. That's where the meme comes from. And people make fun of it because they say America made it. America created Israel.
Of course we did.
Well, it kind of, like, if you look into the history of it, it makes sense.
I know that there's, like, a bunch of...
They invented
Bo Burnham did
my
favorite joke about it, where he's like, he did... Anyway, it doesn't matter.
Apparently, we invented a lot of terrorist groups across the world, and not just like made them up in our minds. We created them.
Yeah.
We created those groups in other countries and then left them to continue doing what they were doing.
That's actually how the Rwandan genocide started.
It's so crazy.
But actually it was the Belgians. The Belgians had invaded, and then they separated people into two groups, and then they ended up trying to kill each other, or
Yeah.
one tried to kill the other.
So I think it was Palestine. It was Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
Recently, a couple weeks ago or so, they started closing off certain parts of the city and making certain parts of the walkways for a certain race or whatever.
Oh my god.
Yeah. I was like, holy shit. This is happening right now, you know? Like, it's fucking crazy. Anyways, so, this has gone on pretty long. We're at, what are we at right now? An hour and 20 minutes. Holy
Oh,
shit.
okay. Yeah, we can stop talking.
Do you, I mean, I don't mind. I doubt anybody would even listen to half an hour of this. So, but hopefully they would if they're interested. But did you want to get into the censorship thing or?
We can talk about that next time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I did think that was very. We might actually stay for another hour just talking about that alone. So. But yeah, and we did, now just in case anybody's still listening or anybody's listening right now at all, Dark Alchemy. We weren't planning to talk about this stuff, politics,
Oh no.
any of this stuff.
We were going to talk about drugs.
Yeah, my
And maybe
sister's
censorship.
original idea was to talk about drugs, and so that's a part of why. It's a part of why when people tell me not just Dark Alchemy, when anybody. And I understand it when anybody says, just don't talk about politics. That's why I can't accept that.
Yeah.
I can't accept it. It's literally our life.
Yeah.
Everybody's life.
Mm-hmm.
In the entire fucking world. So I can't ignore it anymore.
Yeah.
I've ignored it my whole life.
I used to run a political comedy show, and I remember I have a friend who's a lesbian, who was a comedian, hilarious comedian, Rachel Scanlon. Look her up; she's so funny.
I recognize the name.
I wanted to have her on my show, and she goes, "Well, I just don't talk about political stuff." And I was like, "You're a lesbian. You're already political.
Yeah,
it's
a natural part of life. Yeah,
yeah."
And that's the thing that's messed up about it is politics is not as some separate topic. It is literally our life.
Yeah.
That's why I'm just like, what the fuck,
Yeah.
man? What the fuck do you mean don't talk about politics, dude? Especially now.
Yeah.
First we had Trump, and now we have to recover from Trump with a just as shitty fucking president.
Slightly less shitty president.
As far as looks.
I mean, he's not going to start a war over Twitter. Oh, and like actually, that leads us to the censorship thing. But yeah. But we can talk about that another time.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for the chat.
My pleasure.
Making sense of some stuff. That was fun. It was fun topic. And thank you for listening. If you're still there, thank you very much. We'll see you later. Talk to you later. We'll record again at another point. Thank you very much for listening. Bye-bye.
Bye.